Good morning. Welcome to MotoGP Mac, where MotoGP fans come to congregate and fanboys fear to tread. So,
It is.
the season is over.
It's not over.
It's
Season's
over.
well, it is technically.
Hey, but we made every race, didn't we?
2025 begins on Tuesday, lads. Just so you know, we have the test on Tuesday. So we're going to see everyone on their new machines on Tuesday. But yes, we did make it to the end of the 2024 season. And yesterday's sprint race, yes, great race yesterday. A little bit flat today, if I'm very, very honest. But I suppose the main thing is we have a world champion, and we have a very deserved world champion. Whether you like him or whether you loathe him, it doesn't really matter. He held his nerve. He did everything that a lot of people said that he wouldn't do. And, take my hat off to him. Really, really good, solid ride today in the highest of squeaky bum moments that anyone will ever have in their life.
Yeah.
So congratulations first and foremost to Jorge Martin. I'm thrilled for me. It didn't really matter whether Pecco won it or Martin won it.
Yeah.
I don't sound as excited as I should. I know I was very excited last Monday, but I'm just tired that I'm on nights, so I'm currently in the middle of my sleep. Doing this. So for me, really, really deserved a world champion, and also a good shout out to Pecco as well for being pretty sporting, even though I would prefer them arguing before or during the thing that there is a bit of tension there. But saying that, I thought overall, championship wise for the two of them, it was a really, really good contest over the course of the all year.
Oh, sorry. I was really impressed with Pecco in the sprint race. When he took off, his passing ability was phenomenal. He weaved through that traffic, in the beginning, like he was weaving a rug. But if he doesn't go down now, he's never going to go down, because when his back is up against the wall, he can really hustle through. He's exceptional. He has that extra dose of speed and agility, let's call it.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, like when you look at what happened for Pecco, I suppose. I know an awful lot of people are thinking, it's kind of like the clashes with the Marquez brothers, in Portimao, in Aragon, cost him the championship, and I kind of think it's the other way around. Actually, it's where, like, if you look at it, right, he lost the championship by 10 points.
Yep,
that's close,
right? If you go back to like when he's clashing with other riders for position, I don't call that mistakes. I don't call that's fucking heat of the moment battle. Do you know what I mean? What I call mistakes is last lap of the sprint, turn 5, Catalonia, bang, 12 points gone.
Yeah.
For me, it's those mistakes.
Yes, those mental lapses. Mental lapses, they call them.
Yeah, but like, look, you're taking, you're 2 seconds out in front. You take the pressure off yourself, and then bang, And I don't think it's a mental lapse. It's like you're going, every time you get onto that bike or one of those bikes, they're built for performance constantly. And if you bring it back to 97 or 98% performance rather than pushing your 100% or whatnot, or even say, okay, 95% instead of pushing 98%, these things do happen. And that's where I think it is. Like, if you look at it, right, Pecco won 11 main races, Grand Prix events this season, and still didn't win the championship.
Yeah,
right. And it's probably a record. It's probably a record that he doesn't really want, but it is a record. But then saying that, take nothing away from Jorge Martin, right? Martin was calm, cool for majority of it, very consistent. I know an awful lot of people talk about Joan Mir, and he's not really a world champion, right?
Nope.
To finish first you got to finish.
Yeah.
Ask fucking Pecco. Pecco will agree with that statement. That's the first rule, one of the first rules of racing. And you can have
back into that championship.
Doesn't fucking matter, man. It doesn't
He
matter.
back to a championship like you
For
back
the
it off.
rest of his life, he will be known as a world champion of MotoGP. Doesn't fucking matter whether you bought it, backed into it, fell over it, sucked it up, whatever you want to do, you have that next to your name. You know, like you look at Danny Pedrosa, brilliant rider, doesn't have it next to his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but more people
argue that point. You cannot argue that point. Danny is an alien.
But more people, yeah, but more. I mean, they can get, but they still call him an alien. And more people remember Danny Pedrosa than Joan Mir.
Doesn't matter. Joan Mir can rest for the rest of his life and look over and see that championship trophy in his bedroom, in his sitting room, whatever the fuck he wants, and says, "I am one of X amount of people that have that." Mm-hmm. End of story. No matter what. Ask Max Biaggi where's his MotoGP World Championship. Where is it?
Yeah,
not there. Yeah. You know, Max was a great as well. You know, so not shitting on anyone. Do you know what I mean? But it's like you're in that club. Now, I will always go and say, and look, as again, I'm delighted for Jorge Martin. I'm disgusted that he is leaving Ducati because I think Martin versus Marquez versus Pecco next year would have been fucking amazing. Do you know what I mean? I think it would have been other level sort of stuff. And it's just a real pity that he's going to Aprilia. Like, I think Tuesday for Martin, you know, he's on the ultimate high now. Fucking Tuesday is going to be a bit of Tuesday afternoon is going to be a bit of a downer, I would think. Do you know what I mean?
You know what I noticed though? By the way, I was thinking about it. It kind of struck me. How come they gets on the Aprilia? They'll have a decent, qualifying. They get on the front, like they'll get on the front row, and then it seems like 3/4 of the time or 7/8 of the time, as soon as the race starts, they're back 8. They lose 8 positions. Do you notice that?
Well, yeah. So did you see, like, if you looked at Aleix Espargaro during this race when he was battling with Alex Marquez, right? You could see Aleix was maybe a foot and a half off the apex where Alex Marquez was most of the time, right? And that's because Aleix is trying to keep the corner speed of it up, not go into a kind of a semi-Y thing. So, like, he's trying to act that fucking thing. And what happens with that bike is built not for top speed, not for max acceleration, but it's max corner speed. Little bit. And like, they so like when Martin gets on that bike this weekend, right? Or sorry, this Tuesday, I think Martin will do well. He will do well in my view, but it's a false sense of security. Firstly, the Aprilia goes well around there, right? Because of the long arcing corners. You know, the not so big, massive acceleration zones. Like I think there's only one really good one. I think that's down into turn 6 to come out of 5. Yeah, hard acceleration there. Elsewhere, they're kind of, there is corners before it, or corner shortly after kind of any big stops and stuff. So, like for me, I think Jorge will do well, but that's going to be in my view, a false sense of security because we can see Aleix Espargaro can hustle that bike around. And I would expect Martin to be somewhat similar to where the level of where Aleix Espargaro would be. But saying that, look, I thought it was really good championship for Martin, and I have to take my hat off to him because I think he surprised us many times throughout the season where we thought he'd lose the head and fly at it, and he didn't. And today was a really prime example of it. You know, one of the objectives this weekend for Martin was just to keep Pecco in sight. It wasn't to beat Pecco. It wasn't to go to the line. Do you know what I mean? It was like, if you can keep Pecco 1 or 2 bikes ahead of you, fine.
Yeah.
It's done. Do you know what I mean?
And keeping an eye on him keeps his speed up and keeps it all relative too. You don't have that dip where you have the metal, like what I call a metal, right? You know, laps.
Yep. And then you have Marky Marquez, you know, who rode a fantastic race today. Now, Mark didn't have the pace of anyone. Like you saw him on Friday, he was like in 15th place at one stage. Do you know what I mean? And today, okay, Pecco did give him a toe, I believe, in qualifying. And today, I think the pace wasn't as hot today as it was yesterday, right? And I think that's the crucial 3 or 4 tenths of a second that Mark was missing. Like, Pecco didn't do a dirty thing of back everyone up. He kind of set a slow pace to try and keep everyone together. But he, like I remember Mark was closing in on him, and I was like, is Mark, like if it was me personally, I would have let Mark go.
If you were Pecco?
Yeah. I would have let Mark go, slow down, and then I would have engaged in a fight with Martin.
Oh, to try to knock him off.
So no. So slow everything down.
Dirty fish. Yeah, try to knock him off.
Slow everything.
Try to kick him.
I'm gonna ride with you, man. I'm telling you.
Slow everything down to allow 15, 16, 17 to come up, and then we have a big, massive battle towards the end. Because all you want is people dive bombing in on Martin. That's all you want. So if you're backing everyone up, right? Now, saying that, Martin did have a rear gunner today that was really good, and it wasn't his teammate; it was Alicia Spagaro. You know,
he helped him out. That helped him out a lot.
But saying that, and you could see it with Alicia's riding. You could see he was wide in the corners, but he was putting his bike in such a position that like no one could actually dive it right up the inside, and he was keeping the speed out. No, it wasn't dirty by Alicia Spagaro by any point, but again, it was a really, really good rear gunner move for him. But for me, Mark secured third in the championship. Again, well deserved from Mark. I know there was an awful lot of people talking about in the sprint race, Enea Bastianini was doing a wingman for Pecco. I'll clarify this. Enea Bastianini does not give a fuck about Pecco.
No.
Not one fuck about Pecco.
I would hope not.
Right?
And it didn't look like it either.
If you understand contracts in the likes of Ducati, the contract in Ducati, well, let's just say is you get a base salary, right? Yeah. You get a podium, you get a bonus. You get a win, you get a bigger bonus. You finish first in the championship, you get an unbelievable bonus. You finish third in the championship, you get a really, really nice, comfortable bonus. If you finish fourth, you get fucking nothing. Right? What happened in the sprint race with Bastianini versus Martin was nothing to do with I want to help Pecco out. It is all to do is I want to get third in the championship and beat Marquez so I can get a massive bonus compared to getting fuck all for fourth place. So just to clarify that point in that
who ended up third?
Mark ended up third. Right? Yeah. Mark, and then Bastianini was fourth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bastianini, he came alive at the end of the championship. I don't know what's up with that. Why would you? Kind of late to the party.
He went to sleep in today's race, you know. Now, did he burn out that soft tire a little bit? Did he take too much out of it, battling with Alicia Spagaro at the start? That probably did, I think. And because remember, Martin was the only one to go on the medium rear tire. Like Martin, you could tell Martin's thing was a safety mode today. It wasn't. It wasn't anything else.
He didn't seem to be. I don't think he was faster at the end. He was just having better starts. He was more consistent. He wasn't coming up and losing 10 places when he started like he wasn't.
He was thereabouts in lap one, which is a big thing for him, you know, because that's where like he normally comes on strong at the end of the race, but normally fellas are gone up the fucking road and he can't do anything because they're gone up the road, if you know what I mean. So for me, when I'm looking at it, it's kind of it's just a bit shit. I guess with him, like, you know, he has had the same and equal equipment as Pecco, as Martin, and he hasn't performed. Marc Marquez has done really well, third place in the championship, but then saying that nowhere really near like the last few races in the championship, you could see Pecco and Martin did stretch it on him. Do you know what I mean? And that's not being disrespectful. That's just being factual. Is that Mark wasn't able to get anywhere near their level. Was that the bike? I would think some of it Some of it was, but other bits of it, a couple of circuits that Mark didn't really favor, if you know what I mean. Another big battle that has been resolved is top KTM. And I think it's pretty interesting. Like Brad Binder rode a brilliant race, a brilliant race. I think he was 18th on the grid or 19th on the grid or something like that, and finished 5th. And by finishing 5th, he's also taken, I think it's 5th place in the championship. I'm not 100% sure right now, but I think it's 5th place, beating Pedro Acosta. And I know that it's like 5th sounds shit, but the major part of this is that he beat Pedro Acosta in the championship. Yeah. They're going head to head next season, as teammates. Do you know what I mean? So Brad does have that over him, over Acosta, kind of like little mental games, and Brad is realistically, I know a lot of people said he's not an alien. He's probably not, right? But he's best of the rest, Yeah. You look at it, you have the top 4 all on Ducatis, and then you have Binder and Acosta 2 points within each other. So like it kind of goes to the thing saying, what would like the likes of Acosta do on the Ducati would be very, very interesting. I
don't know what's been happening. Somebody's greasing up his tires lately. He's been crashing all over the place, though.
Who?
Pedro.
Acosta. Yeah, well, he's been doing that. He's been doing that consistently all season. So like, it needs to change for him next year. He's going to be, he's going to be in the factory team. He's going to have his fucking big boy pants on now. Do you know what I mean? There's no more, he's a rookie, give him thing. It's going to be results based. As we all know, financially KTM are under pressure, so they're going to be, if KTM could make a jump and are in some sort of championship fight next season, then that financial pressure goes away because it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas right now, if they do another season like that, I can see it being a 2-bike team next season. Do you know what I mean? Or the following season. But it will be interesting. So look, I think it was pretty interesting. A couple of really high points for MotoGP this season. One that we saw is that MotoGP fan attendance for this season is up. 3 million fans attended races over the course of the season, which is it's a lot for MotoGP. But again, it is kind of worrying when you look at the amount of race weekends, which is 20. Or what, I think it was 20, wasn't it? 40 races. So 20. So it's a big number, but it should be bigger in my view for that amount of events, if you get me.
Yeah. Well, starter bikes, the sales have been going up, so one kind of goes with the other.
Yeah.
When you get people starting up in a new bike, then they get the adrenaline going. Oh, I got my new bike. That's their first bike. It's like having your first girl, and they start looking at the races. Vinales,
kind of poor weekend for Vinales. Last race on the Aprilia, of course. Kind of lowly position, 7th overall in the championship, so not so bad. Good solid race for Alex Marquez. I thought he didn't magically. I thought if he got past Alicia Spargaro a bit earlier and pulled the gap, maybe he would have caught Martin. And that would have been the dangerous one for me because he is a little bit leery when you try to pass him.
I would be on alert if you try to pass Alex Marquez.
Or if he's coming past you. So a little bit. Also, Franco Morbidelli, last race for Pramac. And I suppose that's one of the things that we haven't talked about is that while they're all on the piss tonight, celebrating, drinking, partying, whatnot. Well, they have the awards tonight. No doubt that Monday morning they'll all be pretty hungover, and I'm not sure would it be that it's hungover because of alcohol purposes, or will they be very hungover the fact seeing the GP24 rollout of their garage and the Yamaha being rolled in.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm interested.
Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, Tuesday morning garage is open. I think Yamaha will roll out of there. Jack Miller and Miguel Oliveira will be there. So yeah. So short-lived celebrations, let's just call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so look, I think it'll be pretty interesting. A lot of people are speculating whether the V4 will make an appearance. I would doubt it.
I would think I wouldn't think so either. I don't see an upside to it.
Yeah, I don't. Well, look,
being that they're not, that they could have unlimited testing. Why would they do it out in the front with everybody? It's not going to look good at first. Oh
well, look, that thing is on the road. There's thousands of miles done of that already.
They said 2025, right?
Yeah, some point 2025. So look, it mightn't hurt to give it a run. Even just a pootle around a couple of a second or two off the thing, just to get some instant rider feedback from the race riders. It's all great having test riders do it. But what we've seen from Yamaha is their test riders feedback is certainly different to their race riders feedback. So so will be interesting, and a little bit of I'm not sure how big of a hangover it's going to be for Pramac actually. Overall, though, look, Tuesday is coming. New letters for everyone. Mark is getting onto the GP25. It will be interesting. It's like it's hard to believe that it's a year since we saw that little Magic Mark smile when he got off the Ducati in Valencia last year. Will that smile still be present, or will it kind of be a little bit of a frown? I guess.
What do you mean? When he's going to jump on that GP25 and have a smile ear to ear.
Yeah.
Especially if he gets some pace. If his times are high. Oh man.
Yeah. Again, look.
And he's going to feel more like top dog again, and it's going to stroke his ego.
Yeah, look, I'm just very wary of what they've said about the GP24, that it's so different on the front to the 23. And Mark is critical on the front. It has to be on the front. And if it's anyway dialed back, like we all know that the 24 doesn't push going into the corners. Mark doesn't mind the bike pushing going into the corners. Right. I probably loves it, right? So
I say he worked that front tire his whole career.
So if the bike is a little bit more rearwards, he won't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Fact.
But he's adjusted to the 23, right? I know they're different bikes, but
he's adjusted to the 23, and like this is what I would really want people to understand. The 23 is a really, really good fucking bike. Okay. It is. He got off a fucking pig, right? That was fucking running in all different directions. Wouldn't go around a corner, and the next minute he got onto a bike. It accelerates. You can feel the front. You can feel the rear. It turns. It does everything that you want it to do. So saying that he adjusted to it, right? It's 99.9% positive adjustment, right? It's like, oh my God, it does do this. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when look at the fucking Hondas, like Mir has like a 70% crash out rate or something. Like that's fucking crazy, right? And that's not Mir's not a bad rider. You know what I mean?
He's a great crasher.
Great crasher. And he's proved this year that he fucking bounces well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But saying that, it's the night and day difference. Like look at Marini. Marini was up the front last year. Do you know what I mean? He fucking struggling now for a 15th place. That's the difference in the bike. And yes, Mark was getting great results, but the bike was still built. The Honda was built for Mark. Let's be very, very fair, right? Any feedback came back, didn't matter what the rest of the riders said. Mark said it needs to be more on the nose.
Yep.
It went more on the nose, right? And what happened? The rest of the three other riders, fuck them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't exist, right?
Oh.
What riders do we have them? And that's not me being a bastard towards Mark. That's the fact of it. Mark said it needs this, it got that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it right or was it wrong? It's probably wrong, right? Because it only suited Mark rather than the other three riders. And then he did fuck off. But then he got onto a bike that has absolutely everything he needs to win, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course.
It was him.
Huh?
The only thing that had to change was him.
The only thing then he had to do was to adapt to a race-winning bike,
right?
Right? Which this is one of the things for me is that anyone that got off a GP22 struggled on the GP23, right? It's fact, right? They're all saying it. I go back to the GP22 over the GP23 because of the turning and the feel in the front end. It pushes you going into the corner. It's like the rear wheel doesn't disconnect. That was corrected for the GP24, right?
Right.
Which has gone back towards the GP22's handling characteristics. So again, that's why I have said that it may take Mark some time to go from the 23 to the 25, because the turn in the 25, they're obviously going to be going along the same sort of trajectory that the 24 is on for turning, right? Because they corrected what they got wrong in the 23. Now, that can either play into Mark's favor or that may not play into Mark's favor. Do you know what I mean? So Mark only knows the 23 properly. Yes, he's done laps on the 22, but that was a couple of laps at the end of last season. It wasn't like he's done like 300 fucking laps and back-to-backs and compared them all identically. He's done some laps. And any laps that he did in winter testing last season, back-to-back, is only a slight reference. It's not in a heat of the moment GP thing. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see how he adapts to it. It could play into his favor. I'm just not so sure, because I know Mark likes it right on the nose, and I believe the GP23 or 24 is not so much on the nose. Do you know what I mean? So that it won't push into the corner, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think he will love it.
Yeah, but it will be interesting to see. Like I can't wait to watch it, and of course, obviously, I will do a video. It is actually a question that I do have, actually, because I was sitting down there the other night and I was like, what am I going to do for the winter? Am I going to do videos every day, or am I going to do videos every 3 days, 4 days? So I'm just going to leave it to people to say. So in the comments, do you want me to do videos daily, weekly, monthly? I don't know, whatever. Just give me a clue and I'll decide one way or the other then. For the start of December, do I reduce the amount of videos for December and January?
And we are veterans of owning bikes, so you have questions about bikes or fix-it things or tips of that nature, or suspension, or brakes, whatever. You can ask us. We probably used them before.
Yeah. Just don't bring your bike to an American dealer to have them work on it, because they're really rip off.
Yeah, they just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. They're really. I know some are very good, but the what is it? The rates that you pay there are absolutely ludicrous compared to Europe. Anyway, what else was I going to talk about? So it'll be interesting to see Mark in the Ducati. It'll be very interesting to see Martin and Bezzecchi on the Aprilia. I can't wait to see what Yamaha are going to come out with. Now, I did check the weather forecast last week when I was doing the preview for Tuesday, because when I did it, I checked the weather, and the weather was supposed to be shit for Tuesday.
That's not good.
But it now looks to be okay. It's now saying that it is going to be between 21 and 22 degrees and just cloudy, but at least like 21, 22 degrees is good enough. So we should be okay for the test. And look, there's a lot of good stuff happening there. The only thing, and I haven't heard yet, and I still find this very, very funny, right, is about Fermin Aldeguer. I haven't read the press release properly saying that he's going to be at the test or he's going to be there or it's going to, and I find that incredibly strange.
Yeah, we haven't heard of him so long. It's like they gave him a bus ticket to somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but I just find it very funny because, like, like you would be hearing it, or you see it in interviews where they would talk about him coming up, and I just think it's kind of weird that they haven't done it. The new Honda, actually, there's some Bradle was running some new updated parts for the Honda, so I think we've actually probably seen Honda's 2025 bike or some bits of it. It's I think we've seen some of it, but again, I'm not sure what we're going to see on Tuesday from anyone. I'm not sure we're going to see anything drastic, especially on the aero side, because it's a little bit too early. So
I'll say Zarco's been doing good with I guess managing what they have with that bike.
Yeah, it's actually very funny to talk about Honda. Okay, right. The race today was crap for them, right? But like in practice, qualifying, and the sprint, they looked very competitive in very low grip conditions, which is a little bit fucking weird if you know what I mean, right? Low grip condition, you would expect them to be fucking down the road like bowling balls, like, you know what I mean? Whereas in a high grip condition, you would think that they would be there. Yes, they might be a little bit slower, but I was pretty impressed actually. And on Friday with Zarco, I was like, whoa, the speed in the old dog. Yeah, now saying that, you kind of all knew it was Friday. You don't ever read way too much into Friday practice times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so look, there's a lot of really good stuff happening on Tuesday. 2 less Ducatis on the grid, 2 more Yamahas coming in.
I don't think that's going to hurt Ducati, because I don't think Ducati wanted them on there anyway, because they've been hitting it's just too much work for them to begin with. They've been hinting about that for 2 years now.
So yeah, yes and no, right? I was looking forward to seeing the Maniac back in the VR40 16 this weekend, and I was going to do a video on it, and I was like, I don't have any proof of this, but obviously because they ran the extra different tire compounds this weekend, that was the main reason why they shelved Iannone for this race weekend. If they were running the standard tire allocations this weekend, then they would have used Iannone. I genuinely believe, but because there were so many different, I think there was like 7 compounds or something, which you can understand why, right? Because they didn't know what the fuck they were going to run into there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I think this year's medium was last year's soft, or the soft from the last time that they were there. So, So look, there was a lot of changes around it, and there was different tire specs, so asymmetric and stuff like that. But I think that's why they brought Pirro in, because Ducati wanted to be able to test the data, because there was so much there to be done, and he would know the bike inside out and back to front. So his data gathering or feedback would be vital rather than just the racers. So I think that's why they did it. Was that to aid Pecco? No, because they all see the data. Do you know what I mean? They all see the data, so I think it's fair. So look, 2 bikes less on the grid. From a operational purpose, yes, it's probably a very good thing for Ducati. For a data gathering exercise, it's probably not, right? Because while the bikes are different,
You're going but the thing is, you're going from 8 to 6, so it's not like at 6. You're probably looking at it for tires or something, and that's extra tire info. And I know you say tires are important, but I mean,
well, they are. Tires are the king, right? You understand what's going on with the tires, and like we know this, right? That like it's come out many times that if you understand the tires, you're going to win the championship. Never, you can be the slowest bike down the fucking straight. Do you know what I mean? But you understand how to make those tires, get them into the zone. Like it was great to see Sylvain Gintoli back this weekend on the commentating, and like it was so funny because every time that Sylvain talks on the thing, he talks tires come into it, and all he keeps saying, activate the tires, activate the tires, activate the tires. And if you can understand how to activate those tires, like for example, Pecco did really well yesterday and today in getting that front tire up to speed, right? That was the hard tire, right? Okay, it was probably last year's medium or whatever, right? But he got it up like that, didn't look leery, didn't look that he was pushing, looked very comfortable straight away. So they understood how to get that tire going almost instantly. When you look at maybe others, it took them a couple of laps to get going. Like, do you remember? And this is always one of the things I do remember. Max Biaggi, when he moved to World Superbikes, for the first 2 laps of every race, Max Biaggi was absolutely shit. But all he would do was give it 2 laps for the tires to heat up. And then once he had 2 laps done, he had the heat in the tire and off he went. Do you know what I mean? And then he started coming back through them. And it was that there was that kind of mentality. Obviously, Pecco couldn't do that this weekend, but you could see Ducati really understood and do understand the tires,
I can relate to that. You know why? Everybody, a lot of people on the street, they get Pirelli tires because it comes with it, or Ducati. Mm-hmm. But I like Metzeler tires because Metzeler tires get hot faster and considerably faster. And they're still a good tire. So it gives you that little extra peace of mind when you're pulling out. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. Well, that's it. Like, look, and I think most people would be the same, right? Like, if you're going out and you're going pookling around the place, right? Sure, fine. Normal tires are this, right? But I think, like, now, of course, I always stay within the speed limit, but like getting to the speed limit, sometimes, your tire selection that you do is like, my view is like, I always go softer and stickier because, in those emergency situations where you need a stickier tire,
it was better to go safer.
Exactly, but look, it doesn't. It's not about the financial thing of, I get 5,000 kilometers from my set of tires.
I hate people do that. It gets under my skin. It does.
Yeah. Look, for me,
AC Whitney. Them straps.
Like for me, I'll be very interested, or like straight, like when I go and I meet someone. Now, look, I don't really go on a lot of motorbike rides. We wouldn't. Oh, sorry. There's not a lot of these. Let's go out and go canyon carving. Like I would decide to go out mostly on my own. Do you know what I mean? And go up the road. But then you get shown, like, say you do meet and chat away to someone. Like, I don't know, is this an Irish thing? But like, so he's like, oh, I did this and I did that and I did the other, and then you're like, okay, yeah, what sort of bike you got? Yeah, and you're kind of checking it out, and then first thing that you look is for the chicken strips on the back of the bike, like, do you know what I mean? And then like, are you all talk or are you willing to push it? Now on the road, it's hard to get all the way right over on the chicken strip, right? Irish roads aren't that wide, let's just say, as maybe your canyon carving roads are over there. Like you wouldn't be getting. It'd be very rare that you would get the knee or the elbow down on a public road over here, right? So, and like there are some beautiful canyons over in the States where you can definitely do it.
No,
but again,
I don't know. I'm on there's a frost line that goes across the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that if you're on the frost line, the roads are so beat up, you're screwed. like where I'm at in Pennsylvania, it's full of potholes and crumblings. They're not roads; they're crumblings.
That's
you're
it.
in Georgia, right? Now,
Same thing. It's the same.
Oh, you're down in Georgia.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the rain and then I don't know. But we get a lot of potholes out here.
Well, if you get a lot of cold weather, frosty weather, your roads they're just going to be impacted by it. Like, so I would think it's more to kind of Florida or over onto the east, west coast or whatever. It would be a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? Maybe the roads would start to be splitting with the heat then, I suppose. But anyway, like, again, it's all about the tires, activating the tires. You can have a pretty slow bike, but if it can get the tires up, you can carry the speed. You're fine. And I think, like, Ducati have been the best for a number of years now at balancing that, understanding the tires, going down to 6 bikes. It won't really hurt them. It could possibly hurt them if they're gone in the wrong direction, which, I don't think so. I don't think they're going to go that far wrong. I think in 2027 it would have been a massive advantage to them to have 8 bikes, because it was a question someone asked me, what's going to happen in 2027. So when the bikes roll out in 2027, all bikes will be equal for each team. So factory team and satellite team will be the same spec bike at race 1.
It's the age of Briggs and Stratton, folks. Just put it that way.
But yeah, but why is that? Because that's the current, like, at race 1, that engine that they have is going to be homologated, electronics and whatnot. So it's going to be a very, very basic and similar bike across it. What will then happen is that the factory team will start developing for the factory bikes, and then the factory bikes will make a step, and it'll whittle down then to the satellite. So a natural gap will start to appear. And just talking about that, I suppose, like, Jorge Martin in the MotoGP era is the first independent team champion.
Yep.
Like, it's 20.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that's like
but it's not the first time in the championship that an independent team won
it. That's confusing.
Yeah.
Well, it was the 500cc. 500cc. Yeah.
So in the premier class, he's the first.
Yeah. Well, no, you see, because Valentino Rossi in 2001, and Honda, I think, was it the Nastro, just the yellow one.
Mm-hmm.
He won the championship on that.
Okay.
So, but saying that was 500cc racing, this is now MotoGP racing. If you want to really be technical about it, it is the first time, but it's not the first time. Do you know what I mean? So
okay, that's where I was thrown off. I consider them both the same. I put them all in the same basket.
Yeah, it's the premier class of it. But look, some people are anorak, and they're like, look, it is this. It's kind of the same with the sprint race. I think with the sprint race, they should just be, like, they it's a kind of a tricky situation. Like, you have the Grand Prix on Sunday, and only those count as your Grand Prix wins. You know, and then the sprint is completely separate. I don't know whether that's right or whether that's wrong, if I'm honest. But again, it's something. I think it's something interesting, and someone said a very interesting comment there. Like, does the sprint hold too much weight in the championship? And I don't think it does. Like, I know we've talked about the championship and Pecco losing and Martin winning it and whatnot. Like, it was won by 10 points, right? This really wasn't a season of mistakes. Yes, a lot of mistakes were made,
right?
But there was only 10 points in it. If Pecco lost it by 50 points, you go, okay, yeah, that's all your fucking crashes, right? Now Pecco did have 8 crashes across sprints and thing, which is high. Don't get me wrong, it is high, but it's not a season. Not really.
Crashes that
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I would think it's under 5. Do you know what I mean? In things, because that's where it went down to, or maybe 4. But
yeah, for some reason
it's
4 is stuck in my head.
Yeah, it like for me, it's not a bad, like, it's not really a season of mistakes, right? Because you know, at the end of the day, when you look at it, right, they both scored more points this season than last season. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it's like 20, 25 points more, right? Yes, Pecco probably did crash, maybe a little. Was it a bit more, a bit less? I can't remember. I remember I was looking at it the other day, but like it's not just like, you can't just turn around and say, oh, it's a season of mistakes. Like, mistakes are part of racing, right? It's if you go to that level, you should make a mistake. It's if you have 100% finish race in your thing, then I can safely say that you're not pushing it to 100% every corner, every lap. So mistakes are expected. It is funny. I think it is funny. I think it's 11 or 12 races that he's won the season, and he hasn't won the championship. And it just shows you is that probably the mistakes happened at the wrong time, and that's it. You know, like, if you look at it and go back to it, you know, cruising there in Barcelona, in the sprint race. Bang, turn 5, which is a prick of a corner, lads. If you ever happen to be in Barcelona, turn 5, it's an absolute bollocks of a corner. Like, but it's brilliant because it causes crashes. Do you know what I mean? It challenges the riders. So
I was gonna say sprint races. You don't think the sprint races kind of made a difference because Jorge had more sprint wins?
It did, but then, like, the opportunity was the same for both. You know, like realistically, would you want 20 sprint race wins, or would you want 20 main race?
Main race, but he had less, and had more points. Yeah, I was just thinking maybe those sprint points.
But Martin has only 3 or 4. Like, I think Martin has only 3 race wins this season, as in GP race wins on a Sunday. Right. Pecco has 11 or 12. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Marquez also has 3 race wins on a Sunday. You know what I mean? And there was a consistency within that. And so, yeah, look, mistakes have made a major part of it, but everyone makes those mistakes. And to even get within 10 points, like, you can't write it off as like, oh, Pecco crashed 8 times. That's why he didn't win the championship. Well, it is why he didn't win the championship. But, you know, he just crashed at the wrong time. Like, you know, he was either, you know, like a lot of people are saying, oh, with the 2 Marquez brothers in Aragon and Portimao, Pecco should have just taken the points. Fuck no, he shouldn't have just taken the points. You know, like no, like, you're not, you know, if you're going to quit and give up, you know what I mean? Like, it's 4th place, okay, you're not on it. It's tough. Like, I get it, you know, but I think it's more so the ones that were in Pecco's control. And what I'm talking about is the likes in the likes of Catalonia, when he crashed of his own accord. Do you know what I mean? He's like, I lost concentration. I wasn't pushing to 100%. I crashed. You're right there, Jakey Poo.
Up for 2 days. Yeah. I was thinking about something.
Yeah. So look, why was it mistakes, or was it what? I don't think it was a championship of mistake. Yes, Pecco made a lot more mistakes than Martin. Martin capitalized at the right moments. You know, he was smart when he needed to be smart. Like, his mental strength was brilliant. you know, and like what I was super impressed with, and I'll go back to this, was when he made the fuck up in Misano. He was just like gone out of his head again the next week, because like I was like thinking at the next race, would this be still like a hangover for him? And he was really good. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm really looking forward to Tuesday, seeing all the new people on the new bikes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
technically, they're pretty much dead in the water. Everything's on hold.
Huh?
Everything's on hold, though, pretty much.
Why?
Technically, because they have an engine freeze.
No, well, sorry, they do, but they don't have the engine freeze until the first race of the season. So they're going to be flat out trying different things up to that point. Do you know what I mean? So like it's probably double time that they're working on the engines now, because those engines then have to last for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not the engines have to last for 2 years, the configuration of the engine, just for any anoraks out there going, well, that's not technically right. But yeah, look, I think it will be. I think it will be good. So yeah, I think it'll be good. I look forward to Tuesday. Obviously, I will do a video on Tuesday after testing is finished. I think it's until 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or something Irish time, and I'll get a video out on it. And hopefully we will see some really, really interesting stuff.
Interesting.
Yep, and definitely, I suppose we'll wrap it up there. But if people can, firstly and foremostly, if people can let me know what they want to do over the Christmas, do they want me to do videos? I'm happy to do both. So don't answer with whatever you want to do yourself. Let me know what you'd like, and I can see what I go with, whatever the majority is. Although it will kill me not to do videos every day, because I've never missed a day in almost 3 years. So
I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah, 3 years now. January 1. It'd be 3 years. Yeah, 3 fucking years. Jesus Christ, where does the time go? Yeah, so there'll be that, and definitely, I suppose, let us know what you're most looking forward to for Tuesday. And on that bombshell, I think we'll drop out. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining for the season. If you're not watching anymore until next season, have a good one. Enjoy the Christmas. Drink, be merry, drink. Try not to get too many hangovers. And that's it.
Have a good one, folks.